Good evening. I'm very happy meeting with you even in this virtual way. Fortunately, due to pandemic obligations, I could not be in Heraklion, but I'm glad we have the opportunity to communicate virtually. I want to thank the organizers for giving us this opportunity. I will present you a mathematical model about the conduction heat transfer by a red blood cell. Let's see the outline of my presentation. First, I will present you my motivation. Later, I will develop a mathematical model and specifically we will discuss the temperature field equations. We will solve the corresponding problem and we will draw some isothermal lines. At the end, the discussion from the study will be shown and some references about this work. The interaction between mathematics and medicine is constant and important. Mathematics are used for planning clinical designs and trials, for data analysis, image processing, drug design and delivery, in epidemiology, in immunology, in virology, in oncology, in microbiology, in neuroscience, for diagnostic and therapeutical purposes, in medical imaging, such as an MRI, in diffusion MRI, in fraction MRI, in magnetoencephalography, etc. Human temperature has a crucial role in medicine because every variation from the normal temperature indicates that there is a health issue. In the left picture, you can see the normal temperature of a human's body according to the ambient temperature. On the right, you can see the case where the ambient temperature is 30 degrees Celsius, and on the left, when it is 20 degrees Celsius. Observe that in both cases, the body core remains constant in temperature, about 37 degrees Celsius, while the temperature of the body cell is subjected to external and internal influences. On the right graph, we can see the temperature's daily variation of human's body, where the maximum value is at noon and the minimum at night. Temperature is used in medicine for diagnostic purposes. Change in temperature affects blood pressure. Blood plays a role in temperature regulation. It distributes heat throughout the body from the core to the surface and vice versa. By changing the blood flow to the skin, the body can control heat exchange at its surface with its surroundings. For instance, when we get too cold, the brain signals our body to preserve heat by shrinking the blood vessels and to produce heat by shivering. Let's concentrate in the connection between temperature and blood. In biomedical engineering, the prediction of the temperature is of significant importance, and specifically the heat transfer process in blood. The temperature of blood in the body is 38 degrees Celsius, which is 1 degree more than the normal body temperature. Several models about the blood temperature have been developed. We will present you 3 of them. First, the heat models for the elderly as well for the young adults have been developed focusing on blood flow. This work was by Karaki and Rida and their colleagues. Tissue cryophreezing models for the heating effect due to blood flow have been investigated by applying the immersed boundary method by Ge and his colleagues. Last, the two-phase model has been developed to analyze the effect of red blood cells on heat transfer by Huawei and Yang. About red blood cell, some characteristics. Red blood cell contains hemoglobin, which picks up oxygen. It has no nucleus, making room to carry more oxygen. And it carries oxygen from the lungs to the body and carbon dioxide from the body back to the lung. In this figure, we see the structure of the RBC. First, we can observe that the shape of the red blood cell is a biconcave disc, which is useful for our talk later. And the structure, we can see that it consists from the RBC's membrane and the cytoplasm. Blood is a suspension of 3 different types of cells: the red blood cell, the white blood cell, the platelet, within an incompressible internal fluid, which is the blood plasma. In our case, it's considered as infinity medium at rest. Heat is absorbed by the red blood cell surface at a constant unit weight, and the temperature infinity is constant. We study the steady state distribution in Bloch's plasma, assuming that the heat transport is dominated by conduction and the thermal conductivity is constant. In this slide, we can see the mathematical formulation. The first equation expresses the Laplace equation which satisfies the function tau, which is needed in order to obtain the temperature. The second boundary condition, the second equation is the boundary condition which expresses the normal flux of the Bloch plasma. And the third is the far-field condition, which expresses that the temperature of the infinity is the constant, which is shown by the constant tau infinity. K is the thermal conductivity, and N is the outward normal unit vector. In the figure, you can see the problem defined in the meridian plane. This is the red blood cell. S is the surface of the red blood cell. There is the volume of blood plasma. In order to solve the problem, we have to dimensionalizing the problem. We said the R tilde is the R over L, we let the characteristic length, and the function to be derived now is the function theta, which is defined from this equation. Therefore, the dimensionless form of the problem is the Laplace equation over function theta equals to 0. The outward normal unit vector dot the gradient of function theta equals to -1 on the surface, and on the infinity, the temperature tends to 0. Let's discuss about the choice of our geometry. In every problem, in every mathematical model, we need to choose properly the physics and the geometry. We have talked about the physics, about the geometry, as we talked previously. It's the red blood cell shape is a biconcave disk, which resembles an inverted prolate spheroid, and therefore the inverted prolate spheroidal coordinate system is the appropriate coordinate system in order to solve our problem. This is the definition, where every point x1, x2, x3 is connected with the tau, zeta, phi through these relations, and this is the inverted, the modified inverted prolate spheroidal system, where C is constant with which defines the semi-focal distance. In the figure, you can see the coordinate surfaces, but let me show you a more clear figure. On the left, you can see the inverted prolate spheroid, which is derived when tau is constant, tau equals to tau 0 in our discussion later, and the rotation cycle is shown on the right, where they are obtained when z equals to constant. Now we'll have the geometry, and the next step is to solve the appropriate equation for the Laplace equation. The problem first is translated to the inverted prolate spheroidal system in this way: the Laplace equation over the function theta, the far-field condition which says that the temperature tends to 0 in the infinity. The infinity in our case is defined with tau theta tends to 1, 0. And the uniform flux is obtained by this equation. The Laplace operator in the modified inverted prolate spheroidal system has this form. You can see that it's a rather complicated form. And in order to solve the corresponding Laplace equation, we apply the method of R separation in variables. And the then solution is in this form, where this quantity is the quantity on 1 over R, where R is the function which enables us to do the separation. And the PNM and the QNM are the associated Legendre functions. Let's talk about the associated Legendre functions. They satisfy this ordinary differential equation. where n is the degree of the associated Legendre function, and n is the order of the associated Legendre function. This is the orthogonality condition that we will use later. These are the definitions of the associated Legendre functions of the first and the subsequent kind P Q respectively. You can see that there is differences in the definitions because we have choices from the interval. In the first equation, we have that the interval has the absolute value smaller than 1, and in the second, the absolute value of x is larger than 1. And let's start solving the problem. If we recall the conditions of our problem, they do not depend on P. So the potential theta is azimuthally dependent, and the potential takes this form. This form is as if we have put m equals to 0. Moreover, functions q, we know that they are singular when x equals to 1, and therefore q cannot be in the form of the potential that we searching for. So the constants b and d are chosen to be equals to 0. And therefore, the function theta assumes this form. So we have to calculate the constant scaling. The constant scaling we calculate from the boundary condition. If we use the first four Legendre functions and the recurrent relation with shown relation 15. The boundary condition is translated in this form, which is written in this way in order to apply the orthogonality conditions of the Legendre functions. In order to do something like this, we multiply by the Legendre polynomials, and we integrate from minus 1 to 1. Observe that we have said that this function, which is the result, it's a function f with overset. Therefore, using the orthogonality condition, we have a system like this. You can see that the third equation employs constants k0, k2, k4, etc. And the orders employs k1, k3, k5, and so on. This means that we have two systems, one for the k even order and one for k for odd order. Moreover, if we see in the previous slide, these functions f over z is odd, and the polynomials of Legendre are even and odd depending on the degree. So the integral of function f to z and the Legendre polynomial of odd or even order from minus 1 to 1 is equal to 0. This simplifies a little bit our system, but we have a system which employs two different systems to be exact. One employs k2n and the other k2n plus 1 constant. And we have to derive the constants k0 and k1 when we use the cutoff technique in order to calculate such coefficients. And the condition that we take is that the limit of this constant tends to 0 when n tends to infinity. Having this derived temperature, we can have the mean temperature on the surface, which is derived through the surface integral in the temperature function, divided by the area of the red blood cell. We can also have the Nusselt number, which is the fraction of the area of the red blood cell over the product of 2 pi and the mean temperature. let's see some isothermal lines. In order to derive the constant that we mentioned before, we use the cutoff technique. Therefore, the constant can be derived depending on how many constants we have to state. In this figure, you can see that we have taken 3 terms of the series expansion, and the inverted prolate is defined by the equation tau equals to tau 0, where tau 0 is 1.1, and the semifocal distance equals 1. While in the next figure, you can see the isothermal lines with the same tau 0 and confocal distance, but in the case we have used 11 term of the series expansion. Let's see some, let's conclude our remarks. We have obtained an analytical solution for the conduction heat transfer by regular cell. The solution is obtained in a separable form. Can be used in similar problems in engineering when the embedded particle is, can be modeled as an inverted polar spheroid. And the conduction heat transfer by inverted oblate spheroid can be obtained by a simple complex transformation. This work has opened some questions. First, we have to model the conduction heat transfer by regular cell using Dirichlet boundary conditions. In our case, we use Neumann boundary condition. We have to model the conduction heat transfer by swarm of red blood cells. And we have to investigate the rate of convergence of the series solution that we have obtained. These are some references. Thank you for your attention. If there are any questions, I will be very glad to answer.